Welcome to another episode of Eyes on the Jersey Shore. Get your real glasses ready, your fake ones, and let's keep our eyes on the Jersey Shore. I am Vin Ebenau here with Point Pleasant Beach Police Chief Joseph Michigan, who this year is also the president of the Ocean County Police Chiefs Association. Our topic of discussion today comes after Governor Phil Murphy signed a new package of laws voted in by the voters last November regarding marijuana. Now, we're going to be discussing a couple of the issues that come along with it, maybe some oversight perhaps on the state's part in terms of what police can and can't enforce and kind of how this affects you and your families as well. So, Chief, thanks for taking out some time today. We're going to talk about a couple of the issues here regarding this. The under 21 enforcement, the over 21 enforcement, certainly avoiding a deja vu incident of any kind of marijuana and alcohol parties on the beach like that happened last summer, and then you and the mayor immediately kind of cracked down on that. And then some of the challenges this presents for officers across the board here. So thanks for taking out some time to discuss.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So, and you wrote a letter last week to try to get ahead of this and speaking to the parents on social media on the Point Pleasant Beach Police Department Facebook page here in regards to what police can't do anymore under these new marijuana guidelines from the Attorney General in a meeting that you and the other chiefs had last week as well. So basically, if you're under 18, police officer sees marijuana in the car, and you can expand on this. Is there suspicion? Okay, you can't do it. And if you do end up charging them or giving them a warning, moms and dads, you may never know about it because it'll be between police and your son or daughter. And unless they decide to tell you themselves, you won't know until that second time when you get a letter from police department, and then the child gets a referral for drug treatment. So it kind of seems all kind of out of whack and out of order here, protecting the young and innocent here. So tell me how your interpretation of these new marijuana guidelines in New Jersey and how this affects police enforcement of people under the age of 18.
Yeah, so I looked at the new law like every other chief did, and a couple of things that just stood right out on that one. And certainly the parental notification, or in fact not being able to contact a parent on a first offense when we deal with a juvenile, goes contrary to everything that we as a police department here in Point Pleasant Beach and elsewhere, I would assume, goes against their policies. We have a great working relationship with the school system here in Point Pleasant Beach. The kids, we have one of the best SROs, I think, around with Detective Derek O'Neill. Just a fantastic relationship that we built. And that trust builds in with, we communicate with the parents regularly. If we're dealing with a person who's made a mistake, drank some alcohol, maybe smoked some marijuana for the first time, typically the last resort is any type of punishment. The last thing we ever want to do is actually punish the juvenile. We want to get them the help, and where do they get their help and their guidance and their support is at home with their families. And to take the parental notification out of a first offense, I think is I don't know if that's an oversight or someone thought that would be a good idea. Let's take the parents out of the equation. I'm a parent of 3 myself. I read that. I, as a parent, have an absolute right to know what my kids are doing. A lot of comments on the posts that I put out. People saying, well, you should know what your kids are doing. The police doesn't need to be involved sometimes. I will tell them, I would suggest that they probably aren't parents. That struck me as problematic. So that somewhat prompted me to sit down and put pen to paper and put a message out to the residents of Point Pleasant Beach. And obviously it grabbed the attention of other people too. But the intent was just to communicate with them, let them know that these are the new policies out there, effective immediately. So we had no time to really digest it. Mm-hmm. We had, this is the new law, this is the guidelines, and make it work. It's tough to change a policy overnight, and it's just a mindset for my officers, because we have such a great working relationship here in Point Pleasant Beach with the parents and the school district. and then overnight they're out of the equation, and we're just giving them a warning on a first offense. You know, I don't think it's the right move.
Can you still, if you pull them over or you see somebody with any kind of marijuana, still kind of give them those words of, it's, you know, as simple as it sounds, stay in school, don't do drugs?
Well, I mean, certainly, if we pull somebody over,
Okay.
and they have any type of illegal substance on them, you know, the odor of like raw marijuana or burning marijuana isn't even probable cause anymore for us to go further in an investigation. So if we pull somebody over and they're underage, if they have alcohol in their breath, we can investigate a driving while intoxicated issue, but we cannot investigate any further on a possession of marijuana or CDS investigation. So it's problematic. There's a lot of, it's so new. We're still looking at the laws. We're still waiting on guidance from the Attorney General's office. More guidance is forthcoming. He's mentioned. We've gotten a couple scenario-based. If this happens, this is what your officers can and can't do. But you know, we can't notify parents on a first offense. We can't initiate an investigation based on the raw or burning odor of marijuana. So if someone's walking down the street and we smell marijuana, we can't even go up to that person and initiate an investigation because we cannot start an investigation based on just the odor alone. And in the summertime here, that is how we're alerted to the fact that people are smoking CDS or marijuana in public. You smell it. Mm-hmm. It has a very distinct odor. So they've taken that away. So absent that, I don't, unless someone is walking down the street saying, hey, this is a joint, I'm smoking it right in front of you, there's really not much we can do. So it's, again, it's gonna become an environment that I certainly will not want to bring my family around.
Do you see this as a challenge with these new guidelines in investigating possible DUIs with people under the influence behind the wheel? Or
no, again, we are. If someone has an odor of alcohol in their breath and they're the operator, we can, you know, if you're underage, then if you have any type of odor of alcohol in your breath, then technically you're not supposed to be driving. So there's a statute for underage DWI, which is a lower standard. But no, that's one thing. If you're operating a motor vehicle, if you're a minor, if you've been drinking, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh my God, they're just there's nothing the police department can do." There is. We can investigate if they are under the influence of alcohol, and we will conduct a standard field sobriety test and to determine if they're under the influence, and then we can make an arrest. So this does not affect that.
Where, I mean, on your concern level, is it that you can't, going back to not being able to inform parents right away, do you think this goes against any of the drug rehab programs or any of the programs that have been around for years, like something like DARE, in trying to prevent further drug abuse just because recreational marijuana is now legal? Yeah,
so in the law, they put in parameters for juveniles. So the first offense is just a warning. So everybody gets a pass, that first one. The second one, you are able, you have to document it in a warning system. It's, from what I understand, it's going to be a standardized warning system where if you get caught in Point Pleasant Beach, if you get caught in Point Pleasant Borough and one of my officers deals with you, we can go into a database and know that they got stopped, they got a warning in Point Pleasant Borough. So there's your one warning. So it might be the first time we're dealing with you, but technically it'll be your second offense. So we can make the notification of the parent. However, there's no mechanism in place for this warning system. So at this point, we've been directed to come up with our own, or if we have an existing warning system, document your warnings that way. But we're not linked to Point Pleasant Borough. We're not linked to North Jersey towns. We're not linked to anybody. Our internal warning system is internal. It's Point Pleasant Beach. So if they don't have this mechanism in place by, let's say, the summer, we deal with a lot of visitors and people that are on vacation here in Point Pleasant Beach, and there would be absolutely zero way of us knowing if they've been warned before about marijuana. So we're going to be dealing with individuals a lot less because we can't even initiate an investigation if we smell the odor of marijuana. If my officers do investigate, there's something in the law that makes my officers criminally liable if they initiate an investigation based on odor, if they detain a juvenile based on odor of marijuana smell, then they're subjected to deprivation of civil rights, and it's a criminal charge. It's a third-degree crime. So not only has this law prevent parent notification, we can't initiate an investigation based on the odor of marijuana, and if my officers do, this law then subjects my police officers to criminal charges. I don't know what police officer wants to go out there and say, hey, I'm out here, I want to do the right thing, I want to protect the public, I'm doing my job, and I'm going to get criminally charged if I act upon trying to, start an investigation for, smelling marijuana or this, that. I think it's gonna really hinder a police officer's motivation to actually go out and do the job, especially if they're threatening criminal charges against police officers.
I mean, and to go off of that, I mean, what do you say to your officers? I mean, what do you hear other chiefs in Ocean County or wherever saying to their officers who are hesitant? Okay, if I do even the tiniest thing wrong or say the tiniest thing, I can not only be out of a job, but I could be facing criminal charges just for doing what used to be my job, but is no longer my job under these new marijuana guidelines.
Yeah, overnight things have changed. So again, typically when a new law comes out, you have like a few months to get some type of adjustment. You can train your officers, you can adjust your policies, you get more direction from the Attorney Generals. There's the mechanisms in place with this new warning system that would already be handled and implemented, and then effective August 1st, this law goes into effect. We didn't have that. Like, overnight, effective immediately. This is the new law. So what we had to do is we had to decipher the law as police chiefs and then get it out to our officers. And what I did is we looked at it. We got it out to our officers right now. This is the reading of the law. Got confirmed that we were correct when we had the meeting with the Attorney General's office on who gave us some clarification. Pretty much reiterated the fact that the guidance we got from the AG's office is, in fact, your officers cannot initiate based on the odor of marijuana, and if you do, you're going to be criminally charged. So we wanted to get that out to our officers right away. Do not start an investigation based on these parameters. And we put together the bullet points from the guidance from the AGs, and we got it out to our officers. So certainly we're waiting on more guidance. We have to continuously train our guys. I'm in a unique situation where I have so many seasonal police officers that I need to train. And we're going to have 50 to 70 class 1s and 2s that they're young. We need to get into their brain. This is illegal now, and you can't. These are the things you can and can't do, and there's more things you cannot do. We want to highlight what you can't do, because it will get you into trouble. And certainly I don't want to see a young police officer messing up, and he ends up with a criminal charge, loses his job, loses his career. And in the past it was knowingly. If you knowingly deprive somebody of their rights, then you would be criminally charged. There's no provision in this. This is even if you do it, the officer makes a mistake in good faith, and when his mind he thought he was doing the right thing, there's no protections whatsoever.
Do you see or anticipate a rise in any kind of car accidents or marijuana-related incidents because of these new guidelines that kind of put police in a tough spot?
Yeah, God, I hope not. But you certainly could see it becoming a problem. We'll give you an example, and I use the example in my letter to the residents here in Point Pleasant Beach. My officers deal with a 12-year-old who has the odor of alcohol in their breath. We can't, maybe they had a beer on them. We catch them. They get a warning. We cannot call your parents. So they go on their way. Maybe they continue on now. And then they get into a car later on, where we could have stopped that event from happening right then and there. We stop the person. We call the parent. Most parents that I've talked to want to know what their kids are doing, want that partnership with the police department, know that my department is not looking to criminally charge the juvenile. That is not the first step ever. It's one of the last steps for repetitive offenders. We're always looking to get the help, but the help, like I said earlier, starts with parent notification. They are the ones that are responsible for raising this juvenile, and they should be notified immediately. Again, as a parent, I don't want to. I should be left in the dark, and I don't understand. That is the biggest problem. I understand the legalization of marijuana. We all saw it coming. It's been talked about for years. We've been planning on this to be a reality in New Jersey eventually.
Right.
So here we are. No surprise. In November, it was voted in. This is a huge surprise. No one ever mentioned, well, let's lump the marijuana laws in with possession of alcohol underage. And then let's put all these other nuances into this law that makes it restrictive for police officers to even go out and enforce this stuff. So it's, I think if people knew this was going to be the end result, the vote would have been overwhelmingly no to legalize it.
If a parent out there is able to maybe deduct that, okay, Johnny or Susie is acting a little strange here. I'm smelling something. I'm seeing different habits. Maybe they suspect that their child may have been pulled over or given a warning for marijuana possession. Is there anything in the guidelines that says the parent can go to their local police department and try to find out what happened, if anything?
Yeah. So the answer is no. It's a great question because again, we're, if a parent actively seeks us out and says, "Hey, did you deal with our child here before?" Based on the guidance that I see so far, it says I shall not contact the parent. So I would take that saying I can't even inform the parent. It's a great question. Something that again we're waiting on more guidance from the AG's office. And to be fair, he realizes it too. He knows that he needs to give us more guidance because of questions like these,
right?
And there's 5 or 6 more questions lined up of what ifs, and okay, we'll throw that into the what if category, and we'll address it. So,
it's the what ifs that should have been addressed.
Well, and that's the thing, and that our police officers are going on the street, and this is a tough enough job
right,
to we stay on top of all the laws, the training, the policies, the procedures. No call is the same. We deal with what ifs all day, but we have some type of guidance in the past to say, okay, well, I've dealt with this before. This is what you do, and it's training and it's experience. None of us are experiencing this. This is all brand new. And the what ifs, there's nothing to go back to saying, well, let me go back to what we used to do before. Because what we used to do was we used to call the parents.
Right.
What we used to do is start an investigation if we smelled marijuana. This is, and we're just talking about the underage part here. Again, no surprise marijuana is legal.
Right.
If you're an adult and this is what the state of New Jersey wants to do, it is what I personally, it's not for me.
Right.
But by all means, if it's legal for an adult to ingest marijuana recreationally, or then the state says it's okay, then it's okay. It is what it is. Juveniles under 18, and even 21 and under, because that you won't be able once they regulate the marijuana industry. Right now, they've legalized it,
right?
But there's nowhere to buy legal marijuana in the state of New Jersey. They have to set up their commission. Mm-hmm. They have to set out all the laws and all the rules. They have to get the dispensaries out. Okay, and then once they're open, then you can legally buy marijuana. Right now, if you have marijuana, you didn't buy it legally,
right?
Because you can't in New Jersey.
Exactly.
So, again, I don't know what the rush was to say, okay, here's the law, and it goes into effect immediately. Because and part of that is we refer people to treatment centers. And then, okay, what treatment centers? Who's affiliated? Is it anybody we want? There's way too many questions. There's not enough time to really, I think people are going to be making up their own rules as we go along here. This is our treatment center. This is our warning systems. This is what Point Pleasant Beach is going to do. But it's not a good way to police. It's problematic. For
the 21 and over crowding, you and I had a conversation last July, right around the same time I had a conversation with Mayor Kenitra. A June incident, 6 people arrested, none from around the Monmouth Ocean County area, but a couple of them faced marijuana possession charges when they turned the beach at Jenkinson's into a malfunctioning frat house and urinating in bushes and trash thrown everywhere and all sorts of stuff. Do you see a lot of those kind of challenges, not just here in Point Beach, but in any conversations you've had with other police chiefs along the northern barrier island here, or along LBI, or along Ocean County, where people go to the beach, they like to have a good time, and bring some family and friends with them and stuff like that. But for the people now that marijuana is recreational marijuana is legal, and once it starts again with dispensaries getting sold and everything, presumably by the summer. Do you see a lot of the challenges on the beaches this summer, and saying with all that work that you and the mayor did, particularly here in Point Beach, and other mayors and other police chiefs in other towns, kind of work toward, okay, this kind of behavior won't even be thought about, let alone tolerated on the beaches or boardwalks in an area where we're trying to create a family-friendly atmosphere here, but challenges that lie ahead with having recreational marijuana in beach towns across Ocean County?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a concern. Like I said, last summer, marijuana wasn't legal, and
right.
We had, to use your words, that we were a location of a frat party. It was, it was problematic, and the only reason we didn't arrest up more people is because it was a pop-up party, and we were outnumbered greatly. Yeah, am I concerned about that? Absolutely. This is a family-friendly town. We've worked really hard to make this a family destination, and in the day and age of social media, these parties pop up. Happened all last year. And the houses in Howell, and I think Jackson Brick here in Point Pleasant Beach, and then that's just a local one. I'm sure it happened elsewhere.
Right.
Shore communities certainly are going to see an increase in this type of behavior. It's legal now, so there's no hiding it. There's not going to be any type of it's going to be no hiding it. It's going to be out in the open. People are going to become familiar with this law. They're going to know the limits the police departments have. It's not going to take long, especially with social media, for the word to get out that cops can't stop you for the smell of burning marijuana. What's going to deter people from doing it? I certainly have the concern. This town is, we're dealing with the pandemic like everybody else. We're dealing with I think after the pandemic too, there's going to be such an appetite for people just to really let go and finally get out. So
and understandably so,
absolutely
in the right way.
but I pray the right way.
Yeah.
Certainly, shore communities are going to be the destination. Not just Point Pleasant Beach, Seaside Heights. You go right down the line, Ocean City, Wildwood.
Yeah.
You just go, keep on going. You hug the shoreline in the state of New Jersey, and all these shore communities are going to see an increase in that type of party atmosphere, and that's definitely concerning. And we're just going to have to manage it and do the best we can with the law and the rules that we have to stay with. But I certainly wish some of that was not in there, because it certainly makes our job a lot harder.
Chief, thanks for taking out some time today in a difficult conversation. Still a lot of information to process, a lot of questions that still have to be answered by Governor Murphy and Attorney General Kabir Graywall, and a lot of what ifs too. Like a lot of things that you think about could possibly happen, and you got to try to prepare for here. So appreciate you taking out some time today to try and alleviate some of the parents' concerns out there who won't be notified on a first offense, and just addressing the possible challenges and the issues facing not only the public, but some of the issues that law enforcement is now facing because of the new rules, and not being able to do things that they could, that was once considered part of their job, is no longer part of their job, and that they could be criminally charged, and there goes their police career. So I appreciate you taking out some time to try and process all this and digest it and discuss it.
New for all of us. We're it's hopefully more guidance is coming. I'm sure it is, and we can have some more clarity by the summertime, and training all the officers and dealing with the new reality. So we will adjust. That's what we do. But I appreciate your time as well. So
thanks again, Chief. That is Point Pleasant Beach Police Chief Joseph Michigan, who is also the 2021 president of the Ocean County Police Chiefs Association. New marijuana reform voted in November, passed last week by Governor Murphy. New laws, new restrictions, new everything here in 2021 regarding marijuana bills and recreational marijuana with under 18, over 18, over 21. So please be safe, be patient, don't do drugs, and stay in school. That's once again for Point Pleasant Beach Police Chief Joseph Michigan.
Thanks a lot.
I am Vin Ebenau, and thanks for watching another episode of Eyes on the Jersey Shore.